It's about time we turned crystal to light and shone the rays of love.
It's about time we tried to do what's right and find the sun above.
It's about time we trained our hearts to fly and leave the earth behind.
It's about time we soared to realms on high, illuminate each mind.
Let us be the mirrors of the unseen world. May we free the colors of each shining pearl. May we find a language for mysteries untold. Let the silent cry of each heart unfold. His love for me is like gold.
Welcome to Baha'i on Air. We're recording this at the Baha'i Arts and Spirituality Conference in Rotorua. We're going to be talking to Kirsten Zemke White. Kirsten is a Baha'i musician and mother from Auckland, and she has been participating in this conference.
It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
It's like a jungle sometimes, and it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. As a young Baha'i artist, going under either means I lose myself and my ideals and my ethics, or I go under financially because I make no money and I'm not doing anything.
Backstage meow. Sweet.
Tell us about Make It Happen. That was a dance drama musical that you did with some of the Baha'i youth?
That documented a trip where we went to Hong Kong and Japan by accident, because some of the Japanese Baha'i saw us in Hong Kong and they said, "You've got to come on to Japan." And that was a group of the Auckland group going to Hong Kong, and it was really neat. One of the youth in the group had never been on an airplane before, much less to Hong Kong. And what was neat was while we were in Japan, he saw snow for the first time. There was an earthquake. It was really nice sort of seeing the world through these guys' eyes. And I think for them, you become a Baha'i in New Zealand and you see the New Zealand Baha'i community, but to go and see that there's Baha'is in Japan, there's Baha'is in Hong Kong, and we're all doing the same thing. I think it's very exciting, regardless of the performance and the audiences, was meeting the Baha'is in all these countries.
The world is ready for a change, but we're ready too. What's coming up around us, but we're gonna break through. The winds of despair bringing seeds that are new. Spreading words of hope is something we can do. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna take it to the limit of our love. We're gonna make it the place we wanna be. We're gonna take it down. We're gonna take it down.
Understand?
I think Yo is great.
Peace! We wanna bring the world together. It's not too late to start. We wanna use our music 'cause it comes straight from the heart. Turn the sad to joy, jam and playing our part. Not gonna let pessimism tear us apart. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna take it to the limit of our love. We're gonna make it the place we wanna be. We're gonna take it down. We're gonna take it down.
Youth for One World, a group of young performers devoted to spreading a message of peace, unity, and the oneness of mankind to the peoples of the world. They come from several different cultures and backgrounds and proclaim with optimism the inevitability of world peace.
We can make a change. Make it happen. We're gonna take it to the limit of our love. We're gonna make it the place we wanna be. We're gonna take it down. We're gonna take it down.
There's good films, there's good film festivals, occasionally. I think in the fine arts sometimes there's more individual integrity recognized than, say, in the television and film and pop music business. There's community television, like Triangle TV, the Baha'i on Air TV show. So there is some stuff, and it's not a total loss. I tried to paint a negative picture, but it's not a total loss.
What about wildfire? I think that documented some of your travels too.
Simon Hinton, who's been here at the conference, has a group called Wildfire, and it's been the New Zealand youth have always been involved in it. We've been very inspired by them, and we've shared material. And so at different times, some New Zealand youth and some of the youth from Yao have gone and joined the Wildfire trips. And a couple of us joined Wildfire, and we toured for 1 year. And we lived and worked in China and in Hong Kong and Thailand and Taiwan. And we got to perform to hundreds of thousands of people. The Vietnamese refugee camps was how we got a lot of our numbers, performing to unfortunately, the thousands that live in these camps.
In 1989, a group of 5 Baha'i youth calling themselves Wildfire undertook a year of service project using performance as a means of proclamation in 4 countries of Asia. The group, ranging in age from 12 to late 20s, came from New Zealand, Australia, and the United States. Together they reached hundreds of thousands of people, mostly youth. Their songs containing messages of unity and peace were performed at schools, universities, slum areas, shopping malls, and Vietnamese refugee camps.
Principles about unity and diversity, and until you live with people and sharing with people, and we really got to incorporate the Baha'i concepts of consultation, learning to work with people, equality of men and women, equality of races, because of course the group's made up of people from all different backgrounds, and in our music we did different kinds of music. And living in China was an experience. Different food, different ways of life, and us having to sort of give up some of our ways and realize that our way isn't normal. There's a lot of different ways of doing things. And it was a fantastic education. To be a Baha'i your whole life and to say these things, another thing to live these things and really learn it.
Yes.
Where are we?
We're in Bangkok! Yes!
At a school!
1 week in Bangkok. 1 week in
As Baha'is, and especially noticeably as young people, we do believe we will have world peace in the future. And this next song is a celebration of how we see that future is. As Baha'is, we're all definitely sensitive to cultural diversity. And we believe when we have this future world unity, people will still retain their own cultures and keep their own ways.
It sounds like the Baha'i faith has had a huge impact on your music. Can you tell us how it did that?
I mean, music is very powerful, and music is sometimes able to explain things better. And so as a Baha'i, if I want to give a talk about war not being nice, it can elicit a certain amount of emotion. But if I can do a beautiful song, and we have nice lighting, and we have the youth doing a beautiful thing, and maybe portraying one of them dying, so moving. And some things are too beautiful for words. They're better for a song. Even some things like just joy and exuberance, and being a Baha'i youth and being with youth of different cultures and getting along and doing it. You know, one of my best friends is John Toohey, who's much younger than myself. He's from a different background of myself, different education background. And as Baha'is, we can work together creatively and create wonderful things.
Baha'u'llah.
I'll just bring up another ruining thing because I thought of it, is the racism in movies. I work with rap music, and a lot of the rap music is anti-police, and it's been banned. Rap groups have been investigated by the FBI, but, you know, Eric Clapton, a white guy, can sing, "I shot the sheriff," and, you know, that doesn't scare anybody. Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven can go waste the sheriff and the town and all the cops. Arnold Schwarzenegger shot how many policemen in Terminator 2? Now, it was in the leg, right? But no one is worried, because it's not the racial issue of oh, we've got now black people shooting the police. That's a danger now. So that even the racism in the films that we see. Another thing to do is vote with your dollar. The people that make this what we call rubbish are selling it to you. And if you don't go and you don't pay for it, maybe they'll say, gosh, we better make something else because they all went and saw this nice film and they didn't go see this bad one. So use your discretion. You have some power. Don't let things wash over you. Take a part in it. You need to stick to your own values. If you are an artist, and it's really hard. I've been a real rebel at my work by getting them to get rid of pornography. That's a whole nother story, but I've won a lot of money in a court case. So, I mean, sticking to your values can be very productive in many ways. You know, I was speaking, especially the young people that have an artistic bent, you know, and I really encourage you to talk to some of the artists here and to use the break time to learn from them. One thing I thought was interesting, because when they first asked me to do this talk, I said, you're not going to like my solution. Because my solution in my life has been to pretty much devote my creative energies to Baha'i things. In the end, I preferred to do Baha'i music, to work with Baha'i dance groups, to write Baha'i films. And that's been my solution to the problem. Not everybody can afford to do that, or has the means, but I've found my other sort of academic side to work on stuff, and I've been able to only devote. But it was interesting, Philip was asked the same question at a public meeting in Auckland last week, and he was a very interesting answer, and I'm not going to try to repeat it, you should go ask him. But in the end, you know, he said one of the things he's most proud of in his life was his Portals to Freedom play. And I know for my father, it's the same thing. He's got this big list of credits, but what he's most proud of are his Baha'i films. And in the end of your life, this is the thing that really was you. And that obviously was really you as an artist, because it's what you're most proud of, and it was really a piece of you. So that's been my solution. And I don't know if it's everybody's solution, but like I said, I'm talking from my own perspective.
So I think music is very important for us in sort of exploring the Baha'i message and the Baha'i ideas.
That reminds me, you and Grant Hinton Miller co-wrote the theme song for this conference. Tell us something about that.
Well, Grant is such a phenomenal musician and such an amazing poet. I sort of feel in awe to be able to work with him. And the song came out really beautifully, and the music came out really beautiful. And the words, being the mirrors of the unseen world, they're really about sort of the Baha'i interpretation of the act of creation and the act of composition. And I mean, the words turning crystal to light, you know, when you have something but the light comes on inside, and so being that pure and being a vessel for spirit. So it's got quite a lot of layers of meaning for me and hopefully for the audience.
Let us be the mirrors of the unseen world. May we free the colors of each shining pearl. May we find a language for mysteries untold. Let the silent cry of each heart unfold.
In the Baha'i writings, it also talks about the prostitution of the arts. And I know that's something you have very strong views about. Would you like to talk to us a little bit about that?
That's a very heavy, juicy, exciting topic. I mean, just the word prostitution it has the notions of exploitation, has notions of sexuality, and has notions particularly of women. And one thing I like to explore in my work at university and in my Baha'i life is sort of how a lot of the things we get in the media are contrary to my values. And like I said, about the equality of men and women, about sort of sexual promiscuity, which as a Baha'i, I've chosen to live that lifestyle, and it's a Baha'i rule I only apply to myself. But actually the reason I apply it to myself is because I believe it's healthy. So I don't believe it's healthy for other people. And so, the arts have sort of gone on this universal level in order to sell to so many people. They've had to find things that everybody likes, and one universal they find is sex, so they sort of dwell on that. not realizing how harmful some of the sort of promiscuous sexuality can be on marriages, on teenagers, diseases, that it's not a healthy thing for us. And again, this sort of notion of women and how women are portrayed in the media goes very against my grain. You know, from my thesis, my master's thesis topic, I think it's really important to look at how women are being portrayed and how it's one thing to have one film, but we have constant images of women being saved, women as victims, women tied, women stalked, women murdered. It's this constant image that we get, and it affects us and how we think. And so just, my real thing is, okay, I don't want to prostitute the arts myself, but I love pointing out to other people how to look and how to read some of these art that is out there, particularly in film and television. Right. Sorry, film.
Other things I want to recommend to you is teaching your children to be critical of things that go against their values. I think it's really important, all the things I've talked about today. It's one thing, we live in this world and we need to watch this program on TV and we need to do this, because it's around, or we don't have to, but sometimes you find, I think it's fine as long as you see it with a critical eye and you don't let it just wash over you. And teach our children, he did that. We don't, as a Baha'i or as a person with ethics or morals or whatever your beliefs are, we don't actually believe that is a good thing, or we don't actually believe that girls are all silly, or that men, as a reward for winning, always get to have sex with the woman. We don't actually believe that happened in that movie. And if they're really lucky, they get sex with the bad woman as well, and then sex with the good woman at the end. You watch that, how many movies that happens in. Seriously, I hope I've ruined so many movies for you now.
He's got a girl named Jane with no last name, kind of homely and plain, but he loves her just the same, cause she kindles a flame and it drives him insane when he hears her sing. She really does her thing, it's her claim to fame. Come on, sing one, Jane.
Baby,
Well, they got a pet monkey, he likes to get drunky and sing boogie-woogie and it sounds real funky. Come on, your time, boy. Sing one, monkey. Here we go. Let's hear it for the monkey. Woo! On Saturday night, they need some excitement. Jane gets right and the monkey gets tight and their voices unite in the pale moonlight and it sounds all right. Yeah, it's dynamite. It's out of sight. Let's hear it right now.
My parents became Baha'is, and supposedly the story goes, even as a young child at church, I was asking my mother questions about the devil and how could God have created, such bad things. So it showed that maybe I was doing my own searching, and even if my parents hadn't become Baha'is, I would have become a Baha'i. And my parents were very involved in Baha'i music, and they've been a real example on Baha'i is all permeated their life, and I've grown naturally that's the way I am. And I've been really lucky that I've been able to, you have it in my thesis topics, have it in my music, incorporate it into my life. Maybe some people can't do that. Yeah, it's very much a part of who I am, and I recommend it. I think it's good. That's all I can say, and it's something, I hope other people can maybe find something that they think is as wonderful. As a mother, it's sort of pressure is on that, it's something that I love so much and I want my children to get the same. I feel the Baha'i faith is sort of a protection. You wouldn't send your children out without clothes. And so you wouldn't want to send them out with something that I've found that has been such a protection for me in my life.
Love the children, kiss the children, hold them to your heart.
I mean, as a youth, some of these Baha'i laws that people may think are oppressive, like no alcohol, no drugs, no sex outside of marriage, many youth think, wow, no freedom. But for me, it's been so free. Cigarettes and alcohol don't free you, they chain you. Same with sex. I have more freedom, and I always felt that way as a youth, that I had more freedom than the other youth. And so it wasn't what these Baha'i laws and these Baha'i values freed me rather than chained me. And I think as a youth it was a good thing, and it was helped me survival of the artist, survival of the human being. I felt that the Baha'i way of life helped me to survive.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to particularly share with us right now, or will you have the opportunity? You have the camera?
I'd like to talk about Baha'i on Air, that I think it's a great thing to have.
Okay, good. Go for it.
You know, I think community television is a good thing, and I think it's a chance for people to talk about some of their values. I mean, I've talked about that I feel like television doesn't portray my values. And so I think having community television is a way for people that might have values alternative to the mainstream to show what they believe. Spirituality isn't cool right now, and obviously it doesn't sell big, so mainstream television doesn't want to show it. But on Triangle TV, we can talk about things, and maybe there's a small audience, but that audience still wants to see it, and they're interested in it. So yeah, I think community television has been a good thing, and I have been involved a little bit with Baha'i on Air, behind the scenes, so you don't see me. But yeah, so I think it's a good thing, and I think it's great that people are supporting it, the people who watch it, and the people who make it.
Thank you, Kirsten. Free promotion, I like that. We'd like to just say thank you to Kirsten for being with us this morning, and for all your wonderful work at the conference as well, and good luck with your PhD.
Thank you, I need it.
When do you plan to finish it?
In another year.
Another year, okay. Well, good luck with working on your PhD and working on your children.
Thank you.
We've been talking to Kirsten Zemke White. We've recorded this interview at the Baha'i Arts and Spirituality Conference in Rotorua. Join us again for Baha'i on Air next time. Goodbye.
If you would like to learn more about the Baha'i faith, please phone 0800 224247 or 0800 Baha'is.
Let the silent cry of